In this video, we will cover the add button that's found within the transaction information section inside the client file. This is on the balance page if you're looking at the side menu here. And so for the add button, it's going to be found in the top right. And this is the main way that you're going to be adding new transaction items to the client account. So if you click on add, it's going to display a new menu on the side. The main thing on this page is going to be this transaction type drop-down menu. So this is where you can select what transaction item you're going to add to the client file. And you can customize this list if you go to admin, category types, and then transaction types. So this is where you can create new transaction items, or you can change the order of them. You can change like the default fee for them if you wanted to. So again, that's admin, category types, transaction types. So working with the list that we currently have, you click on add transaction type. So say if we want to add a fee for tax prep for this client file, we're just going to click on fee tax prep. Then we have our fee amount, which we could do like $50. There is an hours field here. You don't have to fill this in, but if you wanted to say this took like 1 hour, you could do that. And then we have a notes field here, and we could type up a note, or if there's a predefined that's set for it, you could select that and have that predefined note display. You can also click this clock to leave your own note, or just type into this note field for your note. So once you've done that, you can click save, and that will then add your transaction. And the same thing is true for payments. If you want to add a payment for this account, you can click on add, and then you're just doing the same thing but selecting a payment item instead. You do payment cash, there's the payment amount. This does default to whatever the current total is for the year that you're looking at. And then it also defaults for the payment method is selected for this particular item. And then same thing, you have your notes and you have your other settings here, and you just click save to add that. Now going over the other settings that are found in add. So you have your transaction type, you have done checkbox. So what this does is when you create the transaction, so say if we choose fee for tax prep, we have it set up in ours to where it's going to default as being done. What this means is that when it's created, this done checkbox over here is going to be checked when it's created. So if we don't want that to be checked, we can just uncheck it, and then it would then open up like how this one did right here, where it's currently not checked as done. Then we have multi-year, and this only applies to payments. And so if we do multi-year, we probably want to make sure our transaction type said what kind of payment that we're doing. And when you click on this, it will then display other accounts that you can apply a payment towards. And so these are other accounts that actually have fees in them. We have a payroll account for a $50 fee, and then a tax prep account for $150. So what we can do then is when we select multi-year is to select what accounts that we're going to apply this payment towards. And then our note is going to have the notes for what accounts that those are. And again, both these values will display for the total amount for that particular account year, but we can change this if we wanted to. Say if the client was only going to make a $100 payment for these, 50 can go towards payroll tax, then we just type in another 50 here, then our total is going to recalculate, and our notes are going to readjust as well. And then depending on what type of transaction that you choose, it's going to change what fields are here. So if we chose one that's set up as a payment, we have a payment field and also a payment method field. If we did a fee, there's going to be a fee field and hours. If we did something like a discount, it's going to have the discount amount, and then adjustment would have the fee for the adjustment, payment method. So you got different fields depending on what type of transaction that you set up. And then if we scroll down, we already talked about notes here. Override site. So this would be if you have multiple sites in Atom. If the client normally goes to one particular site, but if they went to a different site for this particular payment or service that they're paying for, you can override that. You just select what site that payment should be applied to. And then same thing with the override user. So both these kind of work with the commission report. So if a user is going to get commission for this particular payment, you can override what that user is by using this override setting here. That will then set that up. Set recursive transaction. Once this is checked, if our transaction type that we've chosen is set up to reoccur, we can activate that with this set recursive checkbox here. And then copy transaction, what this does is when we create this transaction, it'll be set to copy. And then what copy does is when we create a new year for the client, it's going to automatically create that transaction inside that new account year. Then our last settings that we have is set automatic invoice number. What this does is when it's checked, when you save this item, it's going to automatically generate an invoice number for this particular transaction item. And then we can also manually give this an invoice number just by typing in one here. And then that will then be added when we save this. Speaking of save, we have the save close button. And what this does is it will save this transaction and then close out this menu. Clear will clear all the settings that we have in here and let us start from scratch. So if I click on that, you can see that it clears this all out. And then add additional transactions. What this does is it allows us to add a transaction while also still keeping this menu open so we can add another one. So this would be like if we are going to add a fee, and then we can do add additional transactions. So we just added a fee for the stay right there, and then now we can add that payment. So this would be if the client is going to pay it right there, or if you want to just record it as a fee and a payment at the same time. So then we just select the payment. Payment's going to, again, default to whatever the total year is, and then we can just save close, and that's going to add that payment and then close out that menu. So that is it for the add button right here. Definitely reach out to Adam Support if you have any questions. We would be happy to help you.